done this for haven't done this for a couple of months, so well, a month at least. I'm trying to remember where everything is on the screen again. So welcome to today's online day of meditation. Today is Saturday, the 27th, I think, of January 2024, and today I'll invite you to practice some compassion meditations. And I'm thinking that compassion meditations are quite apt when we're faced with enormous difficulty in the world and conflict, and also things that happen in our personal lives. It's the place to go, in my mind. And compassion meditation is one of the what's called the 4 divine abodes, or the 4 boundless divine abodes. And the other abodes are, of course, loving kindness, or metta, or warm benevolence. There's compassion, and then there's appreciative joy, which I like to include gratitude within that basket of appreciative joy. And the other meditation is the abode of equanimity, where equanimity is the state of mind that we have, or the state of heart mind that we have. And so when we practice meditation on these abodes, they're basically the same as within the sorts of practices we do within the serenity kind of area of meditation. And that is that with serenity, the feature that is predominant is concentration, or samadhi, and absorption. And insight's the other area. With insight, it's about seeing clearly what's happening. With serenity, it's about absorbing into experience, and becoming one with it, high states of changing consciousness in many respects. And there's many objects we can focus on with serenity meditations. The 4 divine abodes are some of those objects. So what we do with serenity, meditating on one or all of the divine abodes, is that we rouse this abode, we arouse this quality somehow. And we can use our imagination, we can use memory, we can use visualizations, we can use words, whatever is effective for you to rouse this quality. You can use concepts, whatever is effective to rouse this quality, you use that. I call this kindling. It's like kindling a fire. We kindle something, we get it going. And then once the fire is going, we let go of the concepts, we let go of what roused it, and we bring gentle attention. We focus our awareness on that quality, or the sign of that quality. So with that, we do the same kind of procedures that we do with any serenity meditation. And that is, there's initial application, there's the 5 factors of jhana. Some of you may know about this. 5 factors of jhana starts with initial application, meaning that we put our attention on this particular object. Then the second factor of jhanas is called sustained attention, or sustained application, which means we sort of stay with it. We stay with it. We bring our attention to something, and then we're just staying with it. We're staying with it and staying with it. What happens then, often, and sometimes it takes a bit of time, is the arising of something called piety, or joy. Piety is this kind of energetic, bubbly experience. It's a light feeling. It's kind of bubbliness. And it ranges from, just quite subtle to quite extreme, I suppose. The extreme of bliss. And we use these jhana factors to help us focus in on this quality. So what we have then is we have piety arise, and we can use piety to help us focus. Because piety is pleasant most times, sometimes it's unpleasant because it can be overwhelming. but because it is pleasant, it's easy to focus on. It's easy to have our minds concentrate. So the next factor, the jhana factor, is happiness. That's a lighter quality than piti. It's a buoyancy in one's heart. It's a light feeling. It's more subtle than just piti or joy. Sometimes piti is translated as joy or rapture. So then we have happiness, and the next factor is called. Sometimes it's called one-pointedness. Other times it's called a unification of mind. I prefer that second way of talking about it. It's where all of one's mental energies are going in that same direction. So here, if we have one of the divine abodes as our object, we're going, all our energy is just going in that direction, and we become absorbed into it. So that's basically, when we come absorbed into it, we might notice that it will become boundless. Boundless. In Pali, there's a term called appamana, and it means this boundlessness. Boundless in the sense that there's no barriers between self and other, meaning it's kind of like a non-dual experience. Duality means that, there's subject-object bifurcation. In other words, there's me in here and you's out there. That's kind of a dualistic perspective on things. And often the four divine abodes are practiced in a dualistic way, which is, that's the way we use them in life and in the world. However, as a meditation practice, they shift to being a boundless state, meaning there's no difference between me and you. The boundaries between self and other, the boundaries between subject and object dissolve, and it's a boundless experience. And boundless also in the sense that it's infinitely spacious. There's no boundaries we can place on the state of mind or the state of this quality of heart. And then these qualities are called the divine abodes. I'm just going to mute everyone again. These qualities are called the divine abodes because they're divine translates as godlike. Brahma Viharas in Pali, but godlike or divine. They're uplifting. They're beautiful. So they're divine. They're beautiful, and Vihara, Brahma Viharas is what they call in Pali. Vihara refers to an abiding, a place, a place we abide in. So when we cultivate these qualities, we can just abide in these boundless states, and they're uplifting, and they are they're a state of freedom, actually. In Pali, there's something called cetto vimukti, which means the liberated mind. And sometimes these divine abodes are considered as being a taste of that liberated mind. It's the way those with liberated minds abide. That's the way they relate to oneself and others, the way they abide in life. They abide in these divine abodes. And so when we practice the divine abodes, we're having a taste of what it's like to be awakened. Albeit temporary, it's still a taste. It's a temporary freedom. So that's just a summary of the meditation practices. So what I'll do, at a bit of the logistics of today, I'll finish this little introduction and orientation and introduction to the day in a couple of minutes. Then I'll invite you to perhaps 2 guided meditations. That's usually what I do. And we'll spend a bit of time calming and settling our mind and coming into stillness. And then I'll invite you to a compassion meditation. There's lots of different compassion meditations we can do. I'll invite you to a one that's just simply one way we could do it in Theravadan Buddhism, which is rousing the sign of compassion in whatever way it's possible, and then attending to it like I've described just previously, and then absorbing into it and then letting it become boundless. So that's one way I'll do it. The next meditation, I'm not sure what I'll do, but I'm thinking that I might be doing something like breathing in, breathing out compassion. And this is a kind of a variation of some practices you might find in Mahayana Buddhism, where we imagine that we recognize, say, some suffering somewhere, and then we breathe in compassion, like from a universal source. Some of you may be familiar with Vajrayana practices, such as, visualizing a deity such as Chenrezig or Watara or someone, or a deity like that. It could be like that. You breathe in the compassion hits you where you're suffering, and you feel it, let it fill you, and then you then breathe out, eventually breathe out suffering to the world and to wherever it's needed. So that'll probably be the second meditation. We'll have a break at probably about 10:45 or 10:50 for a cup of tea. Go to, do what you need to do. Then at 11 o'clock, I have a Dharma talk, and I usually prepare a Dharma talk for these days. And last night I sat down and I thought, well, what am I going to talk about? Well, I've been preparing and writing all about compassion for the 5th module on my program that I'm recording. So I thought I might as well do it on compassion. So I'll be doing it on compassion. And I also think there's some things happening in my personal life that are very relevant for that right now as well. So I'll be bringing up what I've written for this program, and I'll put it up on my screen, and I'll look at my notes for the talk. Then we'll probably do yet another meditation, depending on time. And then I have lunch at 12:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And then we'll come back at 1:30, and then we'll have another hour's silent practice. And you can do what you like there. You can break it up into 2. I'll ring the bell at every 30 minutes, well, on the 30-minute. And then at 2:30, we'll have some Dhamma's discussion. And we'll finish around about 3, maybe a bit later, maybe 3:15 sometimes. Sometimes we go a little bit over 3. So that's the format for today. And I will be recording it, as I've mentioned. Just one thing, and I tell you this every time, if you unmute your microphone while I'm recording, your picture will come up in the recording. So probably best to leave your microphone switched off and save it for when you want to ask questions or whatever you want to do. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's, I'll just turn this recording off now, and I'll invite you to a practice.